California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors. On Monday, he urged cities to ban the camps from sidewalks, parks, and other public areas. So after years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on a as you're leaving a whorehouse.
When Greg Gutfeld attacks Gavin Newsom, it's not simply a roast. There is comedy and irony in this political deconstruction. With each hit, he pulls off the shiny surface, revealing the chaos underneath California's disintegrating stage performance. The increase in criminal behavior, the firms that avoid responsibility, and the political theater, Gutfeld turns it all into comedy gold. Newsom's reputation will suffer even if his hair stays perfect. California did not need a governor. It was given a full-time marketing campaign. Gutfeld also doesn't think so.
So if restoring order is evil, then the Dems are now the party of disorder. Turns out the only system they had was wokeism, and it rotted any basic principles the party had to begin with. Which is why, like Gavin himself, they're left looking at 2028's hopes going up in flames. And this time, no one is going to help them put it out.
It seems like someone trying out for a shampoo commercial when Gavin Newsom walks into a room, perfectly coiffed hair and ego, glossier than the Golden Gate Bridge. On the other hand, Greg Gutfeld doesn't waste any time. California's governor will not participate in a debate. As he steps into a roast pit, the fire is turned up to full blast.
Apparently, the baked bread exemption has puzzled observers for months, but Newsom told reporters it's just part of the sausage making of politics. So what's that mean, sausage making? We know it has nothing to do with Gavin cooking. He prefers dining out, especially when everyone else is locked down under threat of arrest. The phrase refers to the unpleasant way in which a process is carried out behind the scenes. When someone says, you don't want to know how the sausage is made, it's usually referring to something gross.
Greg immediately exposes the hypocrisy, pointing out that while Newsom is lecturing everyone about sustainability, he takes leisurely vacations in opulent planes. It's like seeing a vegan guy at a barbecue dressed in full foie gras attire, totally absurd. Meanwhile, wildfires are burning, water shortages are impending, and California leads the world in carbon emissions per capita. His picture with the wine glass at least gave the impression that he was sustainable.
California Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Karen Bass denounced the federal immigration raids. So now they don't want California to have ice or water. So last week, Newsom said he hopes the conservative Supreme Court will overturn the current law that bans his state from removing out-of-control homeless encampments. Imagine that. Well, what did you expect, Gavin? That the sanctuary seekers were going to show up and win a base?
Speaking of disasters, Greg handles Newsom's housing problem with the expertise of a demolition crew. This guy produced a revolving door of executive orders faster than you can say approval backlog, even though he was unable to build a normal family home. Plans vanish, construction is slowed down by red tape, and every affordable housing development ends up being erected in someone's backyard parking spot. Since eye-catching posters are the most effective means of letting people know that homelessness is being handled, Gavin's most recent solution is a billboard campaign.
To be the governor of any state, what would it be? And you might say, oh, I would be in Texas, live free or die. No, that's New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
Just live free. It's
or just die.
Die, or just, it's California. Because people can live under the most incompetent governance ever, but it's still California, right?
Then there are waves of crime like those in California. Greg asks where Newsom put the governor's wand, since it seems like all he can do is sprinkle dust and call it community participation. Carjackings, open-air drug bazaars, and violent panhandling. People need survival guides for the weekend, and Main Street looks like it belongs in a dystopian movie. But Gavin's favorite tactic is to issue a news release praising compassionate leadership, as if that would help you ask a stranger a minivan for your iPhone.
So why do I keep bringing up Gavin? Well, other than my respect for his work in American Psycho, he's starting to distance himself from his party's worst ideas. Newsom, a guy who hates fossil fuels but could still bring down the price of gas by wringing out his hair, once proclaimed that his state would be a sanctuary to all who seek it. Then people actually came, tons of them, moving faster than a mob of Walgreens shoplifters.
Greg mocks Newsom's grandstanding, calling him a showman obsessed with performance over substance. Instead of quietly funding real solutions, Gavin tweets from his perch, handing out taxpayer money like it's his personal checkbook. Well, basic. Infrastructure crumbles. Flashy projects like high-speed rail and climate gimmicks get all the funding. Greg also slams Newsom's hypocrisy banning indoor dining while attending celebrity dinners himself, all with a smug smile.
So after years of denying the problem, he's now pretending to fix it, which is like putting on a condom as you're leaving a whorehouse. Who hasn't?
What's a condom?
But as always, when a far-left Dem runs for national office, he acts like a Republican. This is where the left is really pro-trans. Suddenly, they grow bald.
Greg continues, pointing to failed promises in healthcare, mental health, and addiction treatment plans full of buzzwords, but no real results. Clinics have long wait times while Gavin launches endless studies. Education is collapsing, yet he preaches about equitable access. Meanwhile, Hollywood elites and lobbyists benefit the most. To Greg, Newsom isn't running a government, he's running a PR firm?
So Newsom is fed up with tent cities, the crime, the urban decay? No, he's not mad about that stuff. He's mad you noticed. It's like a criminal telling a jury he's sorry he robbed 25 banks when he's just sorry he got caught on the 26th. Because this isn't some spontaneous crisis. It's a man-made disaster like Chernobyl or Fox and Friends.
We ought to bring Gavin's pandemic stance to light. He is the master of lockdowns, imposing discipline while shutting bakeries, salons, and gyms. Then he is dining at the French Laundry as if it were a mission statement. His policies are even more unpredictable than his private jet itinerary. Greg stresses that rules are for common people. Gavin is above that. He makes laws that are then overturned by pictures. Funds were set aside for the budget. Greg points out that Newsom talked about saving billions, then wasted their money on vanity projects, bailouts, and esoteric grant schemes. At the moment, California's credit ratings are erratic. But Gavin kept squandering cash on unnecessary electric surfboards and solar boats. It's important to remember Gavin's public relations concerns. Every problem begins with an ambitious effort. Hashtagging earthquake readiness, drought response, wildfire safety, and social media celebrity PSAs. But when you do a neighborhood tour, you see hero tape and boarded up stores. Greg highlights the disparity between the picture and the frame, as well as between branding and reality.
Gavin ponders why Dems lost.
We lost. We lost the popular vote and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed. And we need to be humble about that, and we need to have some grace, and we need to understand why. Was it because of the incumbency penalty? Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote unquote, woke? Was it because of issues with Israel? Was it all of the above? I think we are going through that forensic. We need to understand at the same time, we also have to push back against the whitewaters and headwinds of the Trump administration.
Gavin Newsom's green promises clash with reality. Fossil fuel licenses get passed with clever wording, and carbon fees come with corporate exemptions. Greg mocks Newsom's rise through political ranks, saying it's built on campaign promises, not results. Instead of real action, Gavin launches flashy task forces with vague names to distract from crises. His speeches, Greg notes, sound more like TED Talks than solutions.
So Los Angeles is on fire again. It's like deja vu, the French words for Newsom sucks. So while ICE was out investigating a criminal conspiracy, rioters assumed it was an immigration raid and swarmed and assaulted the feds. And no surprise, the state's leadership spent 2 days giving the rioters more support than Pelosi's underwire.
Greg ridicules Newsom's energy policies shutting down nuclear plants while asking people not to use air conditioners. He paints California as a place where residents are warned not to microwave dinner due to power shortages. While small businesses are crushed by red tape, big donors get special treatment. Newsom presents himself as a hero for the underdog unless you're not on his donor list.
It's often said that life is like a crap sandwich. The more bread you have, the less crap you gotta eat. But in Gavin Newsom's California, they mean it literally. California recently passed a law mandating a higher minimum wage for fast food restaurants, raising it from 16 to 20 bucks an hour. But it offers an odd exemption for chains that bake bread and sell it as a standalone item. Why? What difference does that make? Why shouldn't a restaurant/bakery be subject to the same laws as everybody else? Is the bakers union that powerful? If you cross them, will you wind up with the Pillsbury Doughboy's head in your bed? No one will say. But according to a new Bloomberg News report, Newsom pushed for the bread exemption to help a longtime campaign donor, billionaire Greg Flynn, who happens to own a bunch of Panera Breads.
Greg also calls out Newsom's habit of comparing California to entire countries, calling it absurd given the state's crumbling infrastructure and wildfire evacuations. He blames climate change but ignores poor planning and red tape. Newsom's polished image, Greg argues, masks a failing state. He describes Gavin as a political Barbie doll, plenty of looks, but just one rehearsed speech.
Kennedy, I think the answer is yes, 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 yes.
Was it because of Israel? Yes. Interest rates? Yes. Too woke? Yes. It's like every bad policy that trickled up to the White House during the Biden administration started in California. That state is responsible for the worst politicians in modern history. And he is at the top of the list. And there are some ignoramuses on that list.
Adam Schiff,
Nancy Pelosi, Kamala Harris.
Yes.
Like, those are all the people who are the products of the California monoparty vacuum. And he's the guy who thinks he's going to run for president when, so much of the state is absolutely unlivable. And so every project that he's championed, he's now trying to demonize conveniently, and people are not that dumb.
Greg says that if Gavin had a bakery, he would spend $15 million on influencer marketing and $10 million on signs, and he would forget to make the bread. Still, he would smile as if the oven had never been cold and hold a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Additionally, Gavin's attempts at humility are intended to mimic performance art. When Gavin was found to have ignored his own COVID constraints, Greg ridiculed his bogus modest trip. Suddenly, there are listening sessions, and the pain may be heard. Greg laughs. Gavin's notion of responsibility is to go somewhere pricey, nod, and pretend to be artisanal while feeling awful. Greg reminds everyone that when the recall campaign rolled around, Newsom was the victim like a Broadway understudy who finally gained the part. There was no defense of his record. He played political bingo, discredited opponents, and hid behind unions and celebrities. Let's talk about Gavin's legacy as well. According to Greg, if California were a tale, Gavin would be the narrator, altering the plotline as it develops around him. He will leave the most expensive, excessively regulated, and underperforming state in the country, but it will look gorgeously framed on Instagram. Because in Gavin's world, being a leader means looking good while you fall over a cliff.